instance, many years ago when my family and I were applying for our residency in Panama, we had to go to Migracion and make application and hire an attorney and spend days, waiting at Migracion offices, to go through different parts of the process to get our residency. So we were obeying the laws of Panama, and therefore we had to go through their application process. And the issue here is the United States of America has an immigration policy and an immigration process, and yet there have been people who have decided they're not going to go that route either because they can't afford to or they don't want to. Some people know they would not be denied. So they've just decided to cross the borders illegally and subvert the immigration process, the legal immigration process. Well, so then the question is, well, what is the United States government response to that? And recently we've seen different administrations that have just kind of turned a blind eye to what's been going on and decided that they just weren't going to stop it or put a lot of energy into stopping it. And recently we've seen just millions and millions of people crossing the southern border, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And Texas has really come to the forefront of this issue because Governor Abbott has decided he's going to take measures into his own hands, and he is in certain parts of the state he has put up containers and barbed wire, concertina wire to stop people from coming across. His position is that the United States is negligent in its duties and is not protecting Texas or the rights of Texans and the safety of Texans, and so he is going to step up and do his job as a governor. Well, the Biden administration recently went to the Supreme Court and said, hey, we want you to basically assert our authority and decide that what Texas is doing is wrong. So a majority of the court actually decided that the Biden administration and the Border Control could go and cut that wire that was set up by the state of Texas. And of course, a lot of people were so disappointed with the conservative Supreme Court and how could they do such a thing. But I mean, in a legal sense, it was a correct decision in the fact that the Border Patrol does have the right to administer the border and administer border policy, and if something is inhibiting them or blocking their way, they have the right to do what they have to do to exercise their powers. Now, that begs the question, well, but are they actually exercising their powers? single road coming down here to Eagle Pass, and I just can't imagine what's going to happen if all these trucks get down here. And the congestion is probably going to be pretty significant. So I have no plans on staying for that. But I thought it would be interesting to come down here, see it firsthand, and maybe report on it. And in the future, I will be actually looking at this whole situation from a scriptural perspective, because actually the Bible has a lot to say about the treatment of the stranger, the foreigner, the alien that dwells among you. And so there are political implications, there's moral implications for sure, because you do have people that are in dire straits that want a better life, that are coming up here with their families. I mean, I've seen many videos of the horrible trek that people are taking up to the Darien Gap and up through Panama and Central America and Mexico, and just to get here. And it's really heartbreaking to see what these people are willing to do to get their families to a better life. And at the same time, you've got a lot of bad guys coming across. I have no doubt about that. I've seen videos that they've actually ID'd former head of the Azerbaijan Islamic Party, who crossed over and basically threatened, that you wait and see. People are gonna know who I am soon enough, and there was hardly any way that you could take that other than a threat. So he's just one that they've captured on camera. We know that there's a lot of. I was just actually down in Panama a month ago, and a friend of mine down there said he's seen military-looking Chinese all over the place with backpacks on their way up. And of course, that doesn't mean that all Chinese have nefarious intentions either, but there's good people with good intentions, and there are bad people with bad intentions that are attempting to cross and that are crossing the border. So what is the response for a country under that situation? And so I'll be talking about that further in some of my future newsletters. I send out a weekly newsletter. And, it's free of charge, obviously. Go to my website. It's www.shemayisrael.net, and it's ShemayIsrael.net. And of course, Shema Yisrael is basically it's Hebrew. It means hear Israel, hear Yisrael. And when Yeshua the Messiah was asked, what was the greatest commandment, his response was, "Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah your Elohim, Yahuwah is one. You shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength." And what he was doing, he was quoting Deuteronomy 6:4, that's often referred to as the Shema, and it's translated as "Hear, O Yisrael." He said that's the most important commandment. And he said the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And that he was quoting a commandment from Leviticus. So all people that claim to follow Yeshua the Messiah should take heed of his instruction regarding the first and the second commandment. And he says all of the Torah hangs on those two commandments. And so again, if you look into what it means to love your neighbor, that also comes into play with things that we've seen in the Gaza Strip and even this border situation here. Who is your neighbor? So I've talked about that in the past, and I think that it's worth getting into more in future messages that I send out on Shabbat regarding these issues, because again, we have to be careful we don't just act politically that we're members of, if you follow Yeshua, you're a member of a different kingdom. You know, you're not, it's not American, Mexican, Guatemalan, Israeli, you know, Palestinian. It's if you're in the kingdom, if you follow Yeshua, then you should be in the kingdom of Elohim. And the whole point of the kingdom is to reign over all of mankind as one. I try to put things into context, and one of the biggest overriding issues in the scriptures is what happened after the flood. Basically, creation began again with Noah, and mankind ended up rebelling against Elohim. That we know as the Tower of Babel. It was a rebellion event, and as a result of that rebellion, Elohim divided the people geographically, linguistically, into nations. And that is the creation of nations. Before that, there weren't any nations. Languages were confused and people were divided. Well, the point of the scriptures is to show how Yah plans to bring the nations back to Him. And I spend a lot of time teaching that in my books and videos, and even my newsletter. So I invite you to join into the conversation. And if you're interested in this and other issues regarding the scriptures, you know, go sign up at the website, sign up for the newsletter, and take a read. If you like it, you may be interested in the books that we sell, and certainly if you have any questions, reach out, contact me. I'd love to hear from you. So this is Todd Bennett from Shema